Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about Friendzone. So, what made me think about Friendzone is today I was listening to a sermon, and it really made me think about us as women. And I don't want to just generalize it in that type of way. I really mean that, and I've seen this with pretty much all of my female friends or even women that I encounter. And they'll say, they'll meet this great guy and he will be nice to her or he'll listen to her or whatever, and she'll put him in the friend zone. And for me, now that I'm older, I don't think of, I'd like to say that I don't think of the friend zone in the same way. I think of it as, you know, I think of it more as I want to be friends with the person that I'm getting to know before I even think about going on a date with someone or before I even think about getting to know them in that way. And of course, right out the bat, I did everything wrong, but but you live and you learn. And each time that you make a mistake, use it as a lesson. Don't beat yourself up. It's easy to just feel like, oh my gosh, I messed up this incredible thing, or this could have been something different if I would have just blah. But everything's meant to happen the way that it's intended to happen. And that could be something that you needed in order to learn a lesson so that you could be stronger, so that you could be more intellectually sound when it comes to meeting new people, so that you could gain more knowledge in that field instead of it being just something that happened that you continue to build on in a negative way. It could be something that you learn from and then move on with that knowledge to something that God has for you. And as I listened to this sermon earlier, it was talking about cuffing season. And I know it's about that time, I guess, because it's starting to get cold and everyone's like trying to force themselves into relationships or into situationships and things like that. And I'm using situationships because that's what everyone else is calling it, not because I even like really know what that even means. I think it means something like, and I know you're probably like, what are you, are like out of this world, an alien or something? I just I just kind of do my own thing. I hear like all the terms. I see people doing stuff, and I understand it's become a thing. Like a lot of people like know these terms, and they create a thing with it or whatever else. And I kind of get the meaning, but I'm just like doing my own thing. I don't really focus on what everybody else is doing most of the time. So it's not that I just feel like I'm above it or anything like that. It's just that I have my own stuff going on, so I just don't worry about it. But and I know that's like my attitude about a lot of things, and I'm trying to work on it so that I could be more well-rounded in those areas. Sorry. Especially since I am speaking and serving other people, I want to make sure that I have as much knowledge about everything that I possibly can, especially when it's relevant to the group of people that I'm talking to. And so I believe a situationship is like something that's not a relationship. So it's not really a friendship. It's really you have someone around who you or the other person is not serious about that person. You just kind of are in each other's lives for that situation. I don't know. And it's like sometimes there's benefits to it for one person, but not the other. And the other person lies to themselves about the benefits that they're receiving when really they're getting nothing out of the situation but a piece of them being broken or stolen or low self esteem is what I take from it. But I could be wrong. I don't know. So, so as I sit there and I listen to the sermon about cuffing season, it really makes me think about something that I've done in the past. And I'm not ashamed to say this because I'm no longer this person and I'm growing and becoming better every day. So when I find some information that I learned from, when it's something that really, really does hit home to me, when it's something that really does make me feel like, oh wow, I never thought of it this way, or this is exactly what I've done, it makes me start to feel it makes me start to take on the information and really implement it in my life in one way or another. And so the pastor starts talking about covenant season and he talks about friend zoning, and he doesn't say friend zone. That's something from like the early 2000s that we used to talk about that I just thought I'd throw in there. And I think people still use that term. So it'll be relevant in today's message as well. And so, and so he talks about how a lot of women or men will meet someone who's kind hearted and they will friend zone them. And they'll be like, oh, or they'll say, oh, he's so kind. What does he want? Like, what is, like, I've done that before. So I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I haven't done that. And we will just automatically assume that there's no nice people. Like, every person that you meet is going to, of course, everyone wants something, but it could be something that we're not even expecting. And so we'll meet someone who's kind to us, who really does treat us with respect, and we'll friend zone them because we feel like, why are they treating us this nicely when we're used to like every single guy or woman treating us badly? And it's not that, you know, I want to say it's more that it's what we're used to, but it's not what we deserve. So because the norm, and the norm is usually a majority of people, majority of instances have suggested that this is what's happening. And so it kind of, as a woman, makes us feel like, oh my goodness, every person is going to be like this. So when we meet people who are actually nice, it's kind of like, well, we've been used by every other person. Why would this person be any different? And I know that's like really cynical to think like that. And not every person is the same. Every person is a different human being. We are all different in our own way. So it's not that we don't believe that God can perform miracles. And a kind guy is not a miracle. I'm just saying in general, like he can do anything. So it's not that we don't believe that. It's just that we rarely see that. And so when we do meet people who are nice, sometimes we do put them in the friend zone, which is just like, why did I just air quote it? Mm-mm-mm. And excuse this whole ponytail thing with the band. I just got finished working out because I work out every day. So I wanted to, when I was listening to my sermon as I exercised, I had that revelation. Like I usually get like some sort of epiphany or revelation, and I'll be sitting there and the pastor will say something in the sermon, or I'll listen to something in a podcast, or as I'm reading, something will just go. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, like wow, like that really does make a lot of sense. And so let me just go ahead and finish what I was going to say before I keep over elaborating on different things. And so the pastor talks about, how we'll meet someone kind and we will friend zone them, but he didn't say friend zone. He said we will act as if it's not what we deserve, or what we should be expecting. That's what he said, what we should be expecting. And he said, we act as if in the Bible it doesn't say that love is patient and kind. So if a guy is being kind to you, that's what he's supposed to be doing anyways. That's the type of person that we should be looking for. But for some reason, when it comes to women, men, whoever, we will pick the person based on their appearance, or we'll pick them based on our preference, or what we used to like, or what we like, instead of what we need or what we actually should have in our life. And I think that's really true for the most part. Whenever I meet someone who is kind, in the past, I would just be like, oh, this person obviously wants something. Like, why are they being so nice? And I know that sounds really sad, and I should really not be that cynical, especially since I'm Christian and I have faith in God and everything else. And it's not that I don't want to believe that there are nice men out there. It's just the norm for the most part. Most people are not nice. Like I've told you in one of my past videos, most of the guys that I was with have always been really mean. And so it's not that that I don't want someone who's going to be kind and nice to me. I'm just not used to being around any guys that are nice at all. Like, and that was in the past when I was, a hot mess. So of course I'm going to attract a hot mess if I'm a hot mess. But now that I'm actually a kind and loving person who actually is a decent human being, I just Like every once in a while, I'll meet someone who's a nice person and I'll be like, why are you being so nice? I know that sounds really bad, but I'm just being honest. And I'll always think like, oh my gosh, like part of me is like I'll have Satan saying some things to me or insecurity saying a few things to me like, do you not know all the mistakes that you made? Like, why do you feel like you deserve someone to be nice to you? And then the other part of me is like, God's like, you didn't work this hard to settle for someone who's not going to be at the same level that you are. Like, if you are putting all this work in reading, if you're working on yourself every day, if you're going to therapy, if you are speaking life into yourself every day, if you really believe that you deserve better, then why not have better? And so, so that's just where I'm at right now. And the message really hit home for me because I've had, and I hate to say it like this because I don't want it to make it seem like it's over the top or something. But there have been plenty of guys in my past that I've met who have been nice guys that I friend zoned immediately. And it wasn't that I friend zoned them because I didn't think they were attractive or nice people or someone that I would be interested in or anything like that. It was just like everyone else is mean. Why? Why are you being nice to me? It's like, do you like what is it that you want from me? And then I would be like, okay, well, I'll just be cool with them because I don't want to I don't want like for me, and this is going to sound really crazy, but if someone's a mean, nasty person, or if someone's rude or disrespectful, or they're not a good person, I want to know that they're not a good person. My biggest fear in the past was meeting someone who pretends to be a nice person, who is really evil or really not a good person. Because the worst thing for me is to have someone that's evil or has ill intentions pretend to be something that they're not and come face to face with me and laugh in my face and stab me in the back. That's not something that I would have wanted. So when I would meet nice people, instead of me believing that they're actually nice until they prove otherwise, I would just keep them at a distance because I would be feeling like I needed to protect myself. And I think that's what a lot of women do. And a lot of us feel like because we're so used to, most men or for men, women being nasty or rude or like just using us for something, we feel like when we meet someone who's actually nice, who does believe in us, who is a good person, that they couldn't possibly want to be with just us because they have the purest of intentions. It's because they want something. And I really feel like we have to do some self-reflection and really dig deep and figure out why we think that way. I don't think that it's a mistake that I listened to this message today. I feel like whoever this message is for, I hope we really do have to do some digging and figure out what it is that's making us feel like we don't deserve better. We do deserve better. If what God intended for our life is not for us to be miserable and treated badly, He wants us to have someone who is patient and kind and loving and understanding and who doesn't keep records of wrongs or who isn't boastful. And when we meet someone who's not any of those things, then it's the person who's any of those good things, good qualities, then it's not the person that God intended for us. It's really the person that we picked for ourselves or the person that the adversary dangled in front of us because he knows what we like. And so I think it's really important for us to look within ourselves and figure out what it is that's making us feel like we don't deserve better than that. I actually, old times die hard. It's just one of those things. Like, I have met people who are nice to me. And I would just be like, oh, this person's just being nice. And not thinking, because I don't want to ever assume that someone just is interested in me or wants to try to be with me or anything at all. So someone could, this is probably part of my problem. So someone could be like so nice to me and totally interested, and I'll just be like, oh, they're just being a nice person. I know it sounds so silly, especially since I do get hit on all the time, but it's not that I don't think that I am attractive to the people who are interested in me. And I say that because I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone is going to be like, oh, I want to be with a black girl, and sorry to say it like that and to be so blunt about it, but it's true. Not everyone is going to be like, oh, yeah, totally, it's who's for me is for me. That's just what it is. And so so it's just so weird because I never assume that anyone likes me. Like they could ask for my number. Unless they like blatantly say something like, hey, I want to get to know you and whatever else. I don't assume that any person wants to be with me at all or wants to try to get to know me. I just assume that they're a nice person who just is being nice to me. And that's it. I mean, they all might want something, but that's the only thing I assume. I don't assume anything else unless the person specifically says something or there has to be like super, super like noticeable. It has to be something that's like a blaring sign of like, I'm totally interested for me to think that the person's interested. I don't just like jump to conclusions and think that every person wants me or anything like that. I really miss like a lot of people that are interested in me because I just assume that they're not unless they really it has to be something that really like stands out to me that makes me think, "Oh, this person is interested in me." Most of the time I'm super oblivious, which is really really not a good thing. But but yeah, I just think that we have to start making it normal for men, women, and women, men, or I'm not just specifically saying that, I'm just saying in a general term that when we meet someone who is kind to us, let's figure out if this could actually be a person who we could get to know and not just put them in the friend zone. And for me, I I don't like to assume that people are interested. So I might put someone in the friend zone because for me, I feel like a friendship is the basis for any good relationship, anyways. So this is my thought process now. I'm not just thinking of friend zoning people like I'll never ever be interested in them. I'm just thinking the intention is that this is a nice person. I'm leading with love and kindness. And wherever this leads, wherever God intends for this to lead is where it's going to lead. I'm not thinking of that person in that way unless we end up going that way at all. I know some people are probably thinking, well, I can't do that. If I like what I like and I like this person, then I'm not just going to whatever. And for men, if you're pursuing a woman, if you're really interested, then let your intention be known. Really just, you know, don't just use a woman and have her in the friend zone to have a situationship. I use that term even though I don't know what it means, but someone that can just be there for your benefit whenever you need them and you're not really you think you're benefiting because you're getting some of the things that you want, but really you have this confused individual who's hanging on your every word, who's not getting anything out of the situation. You're breaking someone else's heart. You're making them feel like nothing. You're lowering their self esteem. They're missing out on the person who's for them because you feel like you just want to have an ego boost. And women do it too. We'll have the person who's in the friend zone, who's a friend to us, and we have that friend around because we need an ego boost because a lot of men tear us down all the time. And I don't mean it in just like a blunt statement like that. Like I'm trying to categorize all men. That's why I said most. But it's true. I'm not just saying this just because I want to beat up on men. I think there are great men out there. I think there are men who are amazing and who are great leaders who a lot of men I notice don't know how amazing they really are. And I'm saying this, and a lot of women are probably gonna be like, what? But no, seriously, like, there are some really incredible men in this world. And most of the time, when I will meet a man who is a good man or something like that, they have been so crushed by another woman. They've been used or like talked down to by another woman. And I'm not saying that I know like what their past situation was. Like maybe they really hurt this person's feelings and the person's not mature enough to just move on. They really just want the person to hurt as much as they did. Because I've done that like 20 years ago or whatever. 20 years? Hmm, maybe. But let's just say 15 to 20 years ago. I don't know. But I've done that in the past. And I'm not that type of person anymore. Like I haven't been that type of person in a decade or so. But I understand how it feels. And the men like I'll have a conversation with them or something and I could just see the pain in their eyes, if that makes any sense. Does that make any sense? Is it just me? I don't know, but maybe it's because like I truly care about people and I'm not just thinking of them as like, oh, I'm gonna totally get with this person. This person's gonna be the one, and it's just I just write out this whole lifelong story of what it's gonna be like. Like I really just think of that person as a human being in that moment. I think of them as like a person with feelings, with emotions, with like they're actually a human being. They're not just like a piece of meat. They're not just a uh that. They're not they're not just a male voice. They really are a person. And so when I really look at them. I feel like I can see the pain that they went through, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Is that weird? I don't know. But I'll have a conversation and they'll say something and it's like they kind of pull, I don't want to say pull back a little, but they're kind of just like, uh, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to like hurt anyone or make anyone feel a certain type of way, but I feel like it'll shine a light on what most women are doing. And I'm not saying be completely vulnerable and just allow your heart to be ripped out of your body and stomped on by someone because you're being overly vulnerable and giving up too much too easily or something like that. I'm just saying that we really have to start looking at people, as human beings, and leading with love and kindness. And it's not that you lower your standards for them or anything like that, but really show them the common decency that you would want them to show you, if that makes any sense. And so, like, I'll have a conversation with like a guy or something, and they will they will say some things, and it's not like in the fishing for a compliment kind of way, because I have had that before, but like in the they really truly don't know how awesome they are. I mean, how cool they really are, or like I don't know if it's because most women and men seek the person who's not really for them based on what it is that they want and not what God wants. So when you meet someone who is actually a decent human being, it's like they don't really know their true value. They don't really know who they are. They know who they are, but they don't understand that they are really valuable. And I think it's a little sad that most of the people who deserve better or who are incredible people don't understand that they're incredible because so many people that have been using them have made them feel like they're nothing or made them feel like they're not as amazing as God created them to be as they are. And sometimes it's just because we pick the person, and a person who doesn't value themselves can never value you. And a person who's not for you is never going to make you feel as incredible as God intended you to feel, to be at all. They're not going to. They could do like little temporary things that might fulfill you, that might boost up your ego at a moment or something like that, but they could still tear you down just as easily as they could build you up. And I think it's really sad for me, like not for me in general, but women and men, we really have to start believing in ourselves and really stop thinking that because someone is kind, because someone is nice, that they just are really using us. I'm not saying that you just are completely vulnerable and open to open to attack and you're not. You're not defending yourself. You just allow people to come in and just walk all over top of you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we really have to try to start treating people with common decency and respect, and respect people and lead with love and kindness regardless of how the person acts towards you. If that person is not going to treat you with respect, then you just walk away. If that person is not going to talk to you with respect, then you just walk away. If that person doesn't see your value, then you just walk away. And I'm not just saying walk away for everything. I'm just saying that I don't want to make it seem like you being kind means you should be weak. It doesn't mean being weak or showing weakness. It just means treating people with common decency. And I think that's what we all have to start doing. And it just really blows my mind how as men and women, we can meet people who are actually decent people and we could take them for granted. We could really just friend zone them. We could really just put them in a box and make it seem as if they're sometimes not everyone's cup of tea. I don't mean in that instance. I mean, you'll meet someone who, let's say you meet a woman for men, you meet this woman who is attractive. She's smart. She is got a good head on her shoulders. She's self-motivated. She's, an entrepreneur or whatever else is going on in her life. And you have conversations with her, you have great conversation. And you will just be like, oh, okay, this is someone that I'm just going to have as a friend so that I can lean on and talk to, that could do all the things that a potential partner would do, but I'm just only going to keep her as a friend. And it could just be, maybe he just doesn't see her in that as a wife. He just feels like, oh, yeah, that would be something that would just be nice. I don't know. But I don't know how men think in that instance or why men do that. Maybe it's just like beneficial for them because the person, but if they're not getting anything but I guess communication, because your mind is the largest sexual organ of your body. I don't know what it is, but for women, it's usually like an ego thing. It's usually because we've been crushed by so many other men or people in the world. And having that friend who's a guy gives us, I don't want to say false confidence, but I should say that because if you truly value yourself, if you truly believe in yourself, you don't need to use another person for that. And I say use because you could say, "Oh, we're just friends." But how many women know that your friend is interested in you? And you keep them in the friend zone because you like having that reassurance that you are a good person, that you are an incredible person. And why not look at that friend as a potential partner? If they're attractive, if you don't get any red flags from them, if they are good communicators, if they are interested in the same things as you, then what is the deal? Like, why aren't you thinking of them in that way? Really think about it. Does it have to do with just you being used to being treated badly, or is it truly because you only see that person as a friend just because why? I never understood that even when I was younger. Like I never understood why I would only see people, not only see them as a friend, but put them in the friend zone so easily just because they were kind. And kindness is something that we should be looking for. If you really desire to be in a relationship or get married eventually, you really should be looking for someone that is like a friend to you, someone who you can talk to that you feel comfortable around, someone who you have the same interest in, someone who will respect you and be kind to you. You shouldn't be just with someone because they mark off a preference of yours, like, oh, he's 6 foot, yay, like that means nothing when you have to deal with his character and his integrity every day. If he doesn't have integrity, he has nothing. If he can't lead you, you're going nowhere. If he if he just looks good, you're not just going to have a conversation with his looks every day. You're going to really have to have some deep, real conversations about real life stuff. And just for men, the body is not going to do it. For women, the body is not going to do it. It's not going to just be enough to sustain a healthy relationship. That's why I think most relationships fail, because we get what we want and our preferences instead of what we need, and in their character and their value and their intentions and their integrity and the type of person that they really are. They really truly are. We really need to stop seeking our preferences and really look for people who at their core are everything that we want, and really give those people a fair chance instead of just running to what it is that we're used to, or running to what it is that we think that we like. We don't even know what we like in the past. Before I started growing and becoming a better person, I didn't know what I wanted at all. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I had all the answers and I really knew what it was that I was looking for. I just was lost. I really was. I had no clue what was going on in the world. I had no clue what a real relationship looks like. I had no clue that a healthy relationship was where it was. I had no clue that, being broken means that I'm going to attract a broken person. I had no idea that all of my insecurities that I'm seeking for validation in another person was never going to be fulfilled, because a person can build and break you. Those are things that really, truly matter. Now that I know what my value is, now that I know what God's love looks like, now that I know what it is that I truly desire from someone, I can't just find that in a preference. I could be attracted to someone, but we will never have a deep conversation about things that really matter. And we might butt heads on everything. We will never be able to get past anything. We can't affect the world if we're stuck in a bedroom. We can't. How are we going to do that? We have to be able to be well rounded. We have to be able to converse, have a real conversation, be able to talk about real issues. We have to really be able to communicate in general. And I'm not just saying that we're only talking, but I don't know if most women that mature are like me, but I need someone to mentally penetrate me. I really need for my mind to be I really need to have a plethora of information that I'm learning. I need to be feeling like I'm turning into something better. I don't want to be with anyone that's making me into a worse person, that's making me feel self-conscious or insecure because they don't know who they are. I don't need someone who has no direction in their life when I know what my purpose is. If I know where I'm headed and they don't know where they're going, we might not even be heading in the same direction. We might not even have the same purpose, the same destiny. So why even interact with someone who isn't on the same path as me? It just makes no sense. And it really, the pastor said something in the message that he said something like, I know I'm not going to be able to remember word from word, and I'm probably going to have to paraphrase like usual. But he said something like, oh my goodness, am I going to remember what it is? I I can't really remember what it is. It's something like you keep choosing the person who, it was something about like choosing the person that you want, and someone that has no purpose and no vision or has no direction for their life. It wasn't exactly like that. It was similar. And he said something like, and then you wonder why you're stressed out. You're stressed because it's not what God really intended for your life. You're stressed out because it's pulling you in a different direction than where God intended you to go. And if we keep on choosing things based on what it is that we want or what it is that we think we want, because most of the time we really don't know what it is that we truly need. God does know what it is that we truly need for our lives. He knows the type of person who would build us up, the type of person who would be an asset to our life, someone who would be able to walk with us and on our journey. And it's not going to be someone that we just prefer. We prefer someone that looks like this or that talks like this, but not every person is going to talk like that. That's going to be the person for you. Not every person is going to look like that. That's going to be the person for you. And I'm not saying you're going to be with someone that you're totally not attracted to. I'm just saying that instead of just only looking at looks or the body or whatever else it is or the swag, how about we start looking at the character and stop friend zoning people who deserve a real shot. Like, I know I definitely, because I've done in the past, I've put people in the friend zone. And, like I said, now I really think of people as human beings. I don't think of them as in that way unless it ends up being that way. Like if they are intentional or they say, like, hey, this is what I intend to do, or this is what I would like to do. I don't just assume that someone is interested in any way or that, they're in my life for that reason. Most of the times, like, I will meet someone and it might be like a business thing or something. And I'll just think, okay, well, maybe we can bounce ideas back and forth about entrepreneurship and I can learn a new skill or I can expand my business or like if there's things that I've learned that have helped me in the past and they've learned some things, maybe we could bounce ideas off of each other and I can learn better ways to grow my business. I'm not thinking of it in a romantic way at all. And it's not that I'm like blocking them off and putting them in the friend zone or anything like that. It's just that I'm not thinking of it in that way at all, unless it's that way. And most of the time, men will let you know what it is that they intend to do. They'll like drop little hints or they'll say things and they'll say what it is that they truly want. And usually it's up to us to listen to what it is that they're saying. Like we might want to hear something different, but you really do have to listen to what they're saying. Like some men might say, I'm not looking for a relationship right now. Then why are you on a date? No, I don't know why I thought that, but no, like then you just run. You just have to go on and with your life because obviously that person's into playing games, especially if you're trying to date intentionally. You don't want someone who's confused that doesn't know what direction they're headed because especially when you have a purpose or you know what it is that you're intending to do with your life, it really helps weed out the people who aren't for you. And sometimes we want things so badly or we want this person because they're our preference and we're used to this type of person and we just feel like well, maybe I can change them. No, you can't change what someone truly wants in their life. And you know what you want in your life and what you desire. So unless you want to be 5 years single because you keep entertaining people that don't want the same things as you, that aren't on the same path as you, that are leading you nowhere, then go ahead and walk away so you can save yourself a heartbreak and time because most of the people that I've talked to that have been single for 15 years have entertained a lot of men that have no direction. Or for men, a lot of the men have entertained women that just want to use them for their money or that just, wanted, they weren't looking for anything or they just wanted to friend zone them. And instead of them moving on with their life, they decided to hang around in the hopes that eventually the woman would change their mind. And honestly, unless you are intentional, unless you really say what it is that you truly want, most women aren't thinking of it like that when you put yourself in the friend zone. Unless, eventually something else happens. But hopefully, with this message, some women will start to think of their friends as a potential partner instead of just only friend zoning them. Like, of course, you want to become friends with someone before you become anything else, but make sure you're intentional about what direction you're headed. Don't just have this friend hanging around with the hope that eventually you'll be with them if that's not what they want in their life. If they don't see you in that way, then you have to move on. You can't just keep them in your life with the hopes that they'll change their mind because they already know who you are and they have already gotten to know enough about you to know whether you're going to be the person for them or not. And while you have them in your life, you're going to be blocking all of your blessings. All of the men who are going to come into your life who really want to be with you, you are going to be thinking and comparing them to your friend because for women when we're interested in someone, we really have like this hope about us that's really silly. I mean, I don't want to say silly. We have like this unrealistic idealization of what we would expect something to happen in a scenario. Like like, oh, this guy is my friend, but eventually in 3 months we're going to start dating. And then, like, really, if he wanted to date you, he would say he wants to date you, or he wants to get to know you, or if he thought of you in that way, he would say certain things that would, you know, it would show that he's interested. He wouldn't just be sitting around on the sidelines allowing you the opportunity to meet all of these other guys if he really was that interested in you. And I think for us, we just have like this hope about us that we just feel like things are just going to happen out of nowhere. And it's like, that might not even be the person for you. So you're wasting 3 months to a year on a friendship with a guy who is not even interested in you. And then the guys who come along that you're going on dates with, you're not really giving them a real opportunity because you're thinking about your friend. You're really not stepping into it because, or really seeking something else because you have everything that you need. Most women, we just like having communication and being able to be mentally, like, we really, whenever we can have a conversation with a guy, and I know this is probably going to be like, a lot of men are going to be like, oh, I just love talking now, and they're going to try to use this game to try to get close to us. But you just have to make sure that you pay attention and you aren't just being, just make sure you protect yourself. Don't just be super vulnerable, please. And really, that's like one of the biggest things that we love the most is communication. And most men don't like communication. Or I should say, most of the wrong men don't like communication. I guess men that are for you will really want to get to know you and figure out what it is that you like and don't like so that they could be those things, or they could really do the things that will make your life easier and not just add a bunch of stress and heartache to your life. And for women, for men too, the woman that really does want to see you in that way, don't just wait around in the friend zone if you know that she only sees you as a friend. Like, really look for the person that's for you, because the person that's for you will appreciate you. And the things, I have to say this because I've met few people who I've been friends with, or people who, I'm related to, or whatever else, and they will try to become something that they're not to please a woman. They will pretend like they're into this thing, or they do this or whatever else. And I don't think that you realize that the woman that's for you is going to appreciate all those things that you think are annoying. Like, one of the guys that is part of the family or whatever is like he would talk about how, I just like to talk a lot and most women don't like it. I love when men can communicate and love to talk a lot. Just because I think that men don't really get to express themselves that much. And when a man is comfortable expressing himself, when he's really like talking and he's like, he gets excited about what it is that he's talking about, or he can really hold a good conversation. I don't know. That's just like the coolest thing ever to me. And so, like, I will see men like change that about themselves because they'll say, well, this woman, she just likes to talk more and she never gave me an opportunity to talk. And she said that I talk too much. So now I'm going to stop talking. And so now, like, if I run into the person that's for me and they're not talking because of this other woman who wasn't even for them in the first place, tells them that they they need to stop talking, then they're not going to be the person for me because they don't want to communicate. When I love when men can communicate, like, that's one of the coolest things ever. And not a lot of women will say that because we do like to talk. But I think that is awesome when a man can really express himself and really does like to communicate and talk. Like, there is nothing that's more attractive than that. And I'm probably one of the only women that's going to say that, but that's just my thing. And so I really think that we have to be true to ourselves. We can't pretend to be something that we're not to please anybody else. The only one who needs us to prove anything to them is God. God is the only one who I'm trying to prove that I'm better than I was yesterday. He's the only one that I'm trying to prove that my standards are valid because he created me worthy, and he created me for the type of love that he intends for me to have in my life. And a friendship or any type of relationship, or friendship leading to relationship, whatever it is, I know that God does not want me to have the bare minimum. He does not want me to have someone who's not intentional with whatever direction that it is that we're going. I know he does not want me to feel worthless or insecure because some guy can't make up his mind about where I am in his life, or has no direction for his future. I know that he wants me to be intentional about my entire life. And in order for me to live in my purpose and to do everything for the glory of the kingdom, I need to be intentional about everything that I have in my life, whether it's a job, whether it is where I'm staying, where I'm going, my friends that he allows in or out of my life, the potential partner that comes in, whoever it is needs to be intentional about everything that it is that they're doing. I can't have someone come in my life confusing me because they have no direction. I really need someone to be intentional about what direction it is that they're heading in their life, what it is that they see their future looking like. And not that I would be a part of their future, but seeing that they have some sort of direction, that our paths align, that we are going towards the same things, like we are putting God first in our lives. We are making sure that we are doing what it is that's necessary to become a better person and growing in whatever way it is. It's not saying that the person is going to be perfect, but a person that's not willing to change and grow is not for me at all. I don't want to be with someone who's just stuck in their ways, who feels like they're perfect and can never be better. I want the person to know that, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm always willing to try to do better. And I feel like it takes real maturity to be that type of person, and not everyone has it. And so, in conclusion, when it comes to the friend zone, don't just put people in the friend zone, especially if it's a potential person that you may be interested in. Like, if you don't want to cross the boundaries because, of work or whatever else it is, I can totally understand that. And I mean, if it's in the guidelines and it says, hey, you can't date people in your company. Some companies actually put that you can date if both parties are consenting adults or whatever. And I don't mean consenting like in that way. I just mean like in a relationship. So don't just take that and run with it. And so, and then like even in real life, like when you're out in the real world, when you meet people, whatever else, just make sure that you are vetting the people that you're thinking about being in a relationship with. Don't go based on your preference. Don't just pick this person because they got the baddest body you ever seen in your life. And, the things, really do it, because I don't know why I just got that every time. Like, oh yeah, I haven't ate yet. Maybe that's why my stomach's growling. But I'm about to eat once I go take a shower, and then I'm gonna go make my smoothie and stuff. And I don't know why I did that, but okay. But yes, we really need to be intentional about our lives. We really need to stop putting nice people in the friend zone because they're nice to us. We deserve to have people treat us nicely. We don't deserve our preferences coming in and destroying our world, manipulating us and making us feel like what it is that God created us to be isn't good enough. Just like the communication thing with men, or whatever your characteristic traits are. Keep who you are. Like, I'm not saying be like this person who like has all of these negative things that you do and you worked on it and you become a better person. Like, don't do that. But if like you have these quirks about you, don't just change who you are for someone who wasn't even for you in the first place, because they were never going to appreciate the person that you are because they were never the person for you. And meanwhile, the person who's for you is going to overlook you because you're not being yourself, when they would have liked the person that you are in the first place. Like, It's just so funny to me how we can just really try to change ourselves for someone who wasn't for us in the first place. Someone who never appreciated us, someone who who really talked down to us, who made us feel badly. And they could say, you know, you laugh too much. And so the next thing you know, you stop laughing because they said you laugh too much. And the person who's looking for you wants you to laugh because they need laughter in their life and they feel like you're like that light that they don't get to see every day. Or like the communication thing. You stop communicating because you just want to be quiet and keep to yourself because you feel like the person who you were with never appreciated you talking or being openly communicative when that's something that the person who's looking for you is desiring. Or you you like to you like to dance, or I don't know, whatever characteristic trait it is. Like I had this thing where I would always try to be hopeful. And this is gonna, I'm only laughing because I'm over it, but the person that I was with would be like, oh my gosh, like you really have to try to see the silver lighting and everything. Like it's annoying. Like real life isn't like that. You need to get over it and just stop trying to be so hopeful and just understand that life sucks. And it's just like they would say things like that when I am a hopeful person because I just like to believe that things are going to be better. And I've always been like that. Like, of course, I had my moments when I just was living for myself and I just really didn't feel good. I really felt sad a lot of the times, but I I have always been the type of person who's been hopeful, and the person who's for me may like that trait because they might feel like having hope, especially when it feels like there's no hope left, is something that they would need or that would help in their situation or whatever else. I don't know, but those are like, if I would have changed that about myself, the person who God created for me might not even find me because they might be like, oh, you're always looking at the worst part of the scenario, or you're always, you know, Debbie Downer. And when really I'm a hopeful person. And so we really just have to be true to ourselves. We really have to give people a chance that deserve the chance. Appreciate the people in your life that really do truly love and care about you. And stop giving so much energy and attention to the people who don't deserve it. Because the more we feed them, the more we're going to see more people like them. And the more people will think that's the norm instead of making real healthy relationships the norm. What Satan wants is for us to be in broken homes. He will target, that's what the pastor said. He will target the men first. The men who have the men, and make them have no direction, make them really seek things that mean them no good, that really make him feel like he shouldn't appreciate his wife or his woman or whatever it is that he has in his life. And once he destroys the man, the rest of the world ceases to exist. It really just destroys everything from there because the man leads, and the man is the one who can really change everything. Like we could have our standards and stuff, but as long as there's a woman who's willing to put up with anything, there's always going to be an unhealthy, broken family somewhere. And I really want to change things. I really want to have healthy relationships everywhere. I really want people to know that they deserve better and to stick to their standards, and to have more people just being true to themselves. And regardless of where you were, where what you've been through, God will use that. And be appreciative and grateful for everything that it is that you have in your life. Really start appreciating people who love you and care about you. Appreciate the job that you have, the friends that you have, appreciate the relationship that you have, because the only thing Satan wants is for us to be unappreciative, ungrateful, and to settle for things less than what God desired for our lives. We don't know better than God, so why accept anything less than what God intended for our lives? We really have to start being intentional. We really have to start looking within ourselves and see why it is that we want to friend zone people that really do deserve a chance. Why it is that we feel like we don't deserve better than that. Why it is that we feel like because we get accolades from our friends or something, because we're with a certain person that is doing us no good in our soul and our mind, who really only satisfies our body or our flesh. Like, why is it that that temporary fulfillment is enough for you? You really need to look within yourself and figure out what's going on and why it is that you feel like you don't deserve what God has for you, because we all deserve better. And in order to have better, we need to do better. We need to really open up our eyes to the things that it is that God wants us to see, and recognize the people who God really intended for us, to discern what it is that God wants for our life, and not just only seek self satisfaction, only seek temporary fulfillment. We need to be seeking abundance. We need to be seeking everything that God desired for our lives. And we need to desire what He desires for us so that we can live a more peaceful, healthy life.